In 1958 was when the Starr program went statewide in Georgia, and that Starr is the Student Teacher Achievement Recognition Program. And here in Jasper, I think it's unique in a lot of ways in what we do. We wanted to make this important for the students that are here and to recognize them. In some communities, it's a very minor deal. You go by the counselor's office and get a handshake, and that's about it. But it's a bigger deal than that, and we want the community to know about it and share in our pride with the young people that we have here in Pickens County. A couple of our members, Matt Moore and Tom Eubanks, 25 years ago, suggested that we expand this program from 1 student to 10 students. And we have done that, and that's brought us to where we are tonight. And I want to give a thank you to Matt and to Tom for doing that. Over the years, this has carried forward and has become a larger program, a more distinguished program, and a program with much higher profile than it had initially. And it's changed hands from one leader to another within our club. And Rita Birch has done this for several years, including this year, and Rita's doing a great job, I think, in putting it together. Thank you, Rita, I appreciate it. Of all the outstanding students in the class, the senior class of 2014, go Dragons. Tonight we're here to recognize the exceptional accomplishments of 10 of those students. They will receive a certificate, and they will have this distinction will be entered into their academic records, and each of them will receive a scholarship from the Optimist Club of Jasper. Parents, in speaking to you, the accomplishments that have brought the students to this meeting here tonight and to this occasion came about largely as a result of living out the principles that you have taught them and that you lived out for them and that you drove them back and forth to school 1,000 times, to meetings and practices and so forth. So thank you, parents, for what you've done and allowing your children, future community leaders, to develop their full potential. A lot of people, another attribute of what's taking place tonight that's really outstanding is that each of these students tonight have selected a Starr teacher. And this is a teacher who has had a positive influence on their lives. These are men and women from the Pickens County faculty overall who see their job, see teaching not as a job, but as a calling. And to excel in their career, their chosen careers as they have, would not have been possible without the support of their families. And we thank you for that. Starr, a lot of people associate the Optimist Club of Jasper with the Starr program, and we are proud of it. And we are privileged to be able to present it. I think it's one of the most high-profile things that we know, and a lot of people have a connection with that for us. But optimists are all about being optimistic in our everyday lives and bringing out the best in kids and supporting other organizations in our community that are dedicated to helping kids. We have programs and events in which we live out our optimism on a daily basis. Some of the programs that we support are local. There's the Flapjack program, which is a Flapjack 5K run that's coming up August the 26th. We have a scholarship golf tournament that's coming up May the 14th. And we have con sales in the fall. We also support events that are initiated by our parent organization, which is Optimist International. Things such as our essay contest and oratorical contest, which we just completed locally, and then they go to the next level for competition. We have more interest this year in those two events than we've ever had. And we also support and are very much involved with junior Optimist clubs in the Jasper Middle School and Pickens County Middle School, with more announcements to come. The Optimist Club of Jasper also helped charter and start Optimist clubs in LJ and in Blue Ridge recently. If you talk health, happiness, and prosperity to every person you meet, you are an optimist. If you look at the sunny side of everything and work to make your optimism come true, you're an optimist. If you think only of the best, work only for the best, and expect only the best, you are an optimist. We invite you to join with other optimists as we meet on Thursday morning, first and third Thursday of every month, right over here at the Last Catch Restaurant, which will soon be over here at the Last Catch Restaurant. But we're coming there. We have a great breakfast every morning. We invite you to be there as we support each other and work within our community to make it an even better place to live and put our optimism to work and bring it to life in our community. If you are interested in doing that, speak to any member. You'll see the funny looking tags on the shirt. Speak to any of us, or you see on the back of your program for our website and for our Facebook page. At this time, I would like to ask Reader Birch if he would come forward, and he has some introductions for us.
Thank you, Jim. That way is Devil Bakery. That way, please. Anyway, I want to recognize some special guests that are here tonight. We appreciate most of these folks come every year. We really appreciate how they not only support us tonight, but they support us in other Optimist events that we have each year. From ETC, and having a son that used to play sports, still get to watch him play on ETC every now and then. But we have Jason Smith. Appreciate Jason and his wife being here tonight. NoPickens.com. Mary Lizzie. You can, after the banquet, you'll be able to go to NoPickens.com and she'll have all this up on there. Probably give you a day or two, I guess, right, Mary? But we appreciate what she does, and she supports not only us, but other organizations, and does a great job of publicizing Pickens County for us, and we appreciate that. Our judges, they've been big supporters, and I think some of our judges couldn't be here tonight because of a conference, Judge Weaver and Judge Mercer, if I understand that right. But Judge Roger Bradley is here, and our juvenile judge, John Wooster. We appreciate your support. We're also extremely honored to have again with us as our guest, Mr. Lee Rodonis. He is the state page coordinator, and as many of you may know, PAGE is a sponsoring organization from a statewide standpoint for the Starr Banquet. From the Pickens County Board of Education, her first time being to come tonight is Dr. Lula Mae Perry. We're glad you could be here, Ms. Perry. She's our school superintendent. And I believe we have all the board members here tonight. We appreciate them coming and taking time from their busy schedule to be here. Wendy Lau, Byron Long, Peggy Andrews, Mike Coward, and Dan Fincher is over here. But appreciate you guys for being here, what you do, and sacrificing, taking abuse and all that you do for our school system. So, from the high school, the students, or his students tonight that are being recognized. I'm sorry, I should put that on. I forgot to read that where it says, please put your phones on. Eddie McDonald, our principal at the high school, and his wife Joan. The counselors really play a big part in this. We couldn't recognize the students, and the counselors didn't determine who those students are. So we really appreciate them. Mr. Kelly Bond, who is the counselor that works closely with this, was not able to be here tonight, but Terry Civic, who I can send an email to or call, and I know Terry's going to get back to me, and I really appreciate what she does, and glad she could be here. And also, Counselor Joy Sullivan, glad that he could be here tonight. I think this is his first banquet with us. But thanks for all you have done to make this possible to put on the banquet tonight. From the Pickens County Chamber of Commerce, we have Angie Jones and Denise Duncan. Glad you could be here. I don't think Joetta Youngblood was able to make it, but she was scheduled to be here. And later on, we'll introduce our guest speaker, Paul Starr and his wife. And at this time, I'll call on Second Vice President of the Optimist Club, Mr. Dave Slade, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Y'all please stand and honor your country. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please remain standing for our invocation. Bruce Godfrey, come forward for that, please. Thank you.
Good evening. Tonight, as we have our invocation, I would like to honor the Reverend Von J. Hinton, our fellow Optimist. He was a charter president of our Jasper Optimist Club and served as club chaplain until his death in 2013. He was a very beloved member of our club and community who truly served as a friend of youth. Please join me in standing as we pray the prayer that he offered at last year's Starr Banquet. Let's bow our heads. Our Heavenly Father, we gather this evening to honor these young people who have excelled. They have used the talents and ability that you have endowed them with to better themselves and their community. While they have made these accomplishments, it has been with the help of their parents who have believed in them and encouraged them to be all that they can be. And we would not forget the teachers who have influenced and encouraged them in their field of endeavor. Now, as we fellowship together this evening, we ask that you bless this time and this food to the nourishment of our bodies and strengthen us that we may continue to make our community a better place to live. It is in your name we pray. Amen. You may be seated and please enjoy your dinner.
I'd like to give some special thanks to some people without their help who couldn't have done this banquet tonight. The Starr Committee, Sue Appleton, has been really just a super help here. She does so much behind the scenes, works with the Beta Club, works with the Woodbridge, takes care of decorations, setup, and I really appreciate what all Sue does for each year. We could not do it without her help. Tom Eubanks, who is not able to be here, he was one of the gentlemen who was mentioned that started this program 25 years ago. Tom does a program every year, and I hope you students will keep these programs because Tom puts a lot of effort into it. And 15 years from now, you might read back over what you thought you were going to do, and probably be interesting for you to see what you plan to do and what you're actually doing. So, anyway, I appreciate what Tom does. He does put a lot of effort into it. I appreciate Rodney Buckingham for being our reservation coordinator. That's a big job, and appreciate what he does. And, Nikki Milliken is not able to be here tonight, but she took pictures for the program, and I appreciate that. And then there are a lot of other members that are here tonight that help with setup and help direct people tonight, and I really appreciate all they did. I'd like to extend a thank you to the Woodbridge Inn and their staff, Hans Rupert and Layla is back at the Woodbridge. They did a great job. 24 years we've been recognizing 10 students the Woodbridge has catered every event for us. We appreciate that. And Layla, I don't know if you could get the Beta Club members to come out for a second. The ones that
are not eating, I'll send them back.
Okay.
I'm feeding them at least.
Another thing we couldn't do this banquet without is the help of the Beta Club. Several years ago, Kay Chastain, who many of you know, was a Starr teacher many years, a Starr teacher finalist many years, but Kate felt like the Beta Club members ought to come to this banquet and understand what happens and give them an incentive to be here the next year or two. And so that's been a tradition that we've been doing every year. And here are the ones that served tonight. Give them a big round of applause. Thank you very much. And there was another group that actually went to the Woodbridge earlier tonight, or this afternoon, and helped get all these things over here that we had to have, the dishes and everything, and got a lot of the setup done. These folks have come and helped with the serving. There's actually going to be another group that's going to come afterwards and help clean up. So
I thought y'all were washing the dishes tonight.
Just leave it in the sink. We'll get
All right.
that's only because you didn't take the credit card and bounce. But no, we really appreciate that. Appreciate Hans taking on the tradition that we did with his father for years. And
Proud to do it. Thank you.
thank you very much. I hope you have read the progress over the last 3 or 4 weeks, but the progress is so good to work with. We send them articles and they put them in there. The article over here from a couple of weeks ago that has some complete questionnaires from the students and teachers. And it's nice to live in a small community where you can work that closely with the local paper and they'll give you that much space. And it's just a real tribute to the progress and how they support our community. But we appreciate that. And another person that sometimes I forget to mention is Patsy Smith. Some of you may know her, but she does the calligraphy for the certificates that we'll present to the students tonight. Jim mentioned earlier the golf tournament is how we fund our scholarships, and it'll be this year. It'll be Wednesday, May 14th at Ventry. If you play or don't play, but like to have a lot of fun with a bunch of folks out on the golf course, we'd encourage you to come and play. We have a good time, and there'll be some information later on about that. As Jim mentioned, 25 years ago, a couple of optimists got together and decided that we should recognize more than just a Starr student. And as far as I know, we're the only school district or the sponsor club that does that. We'll not only recognize our Starr student tonight, but we'll recognize 9 other Starr student finalists and the teachers they have selected. Over this time period, the Optimist Club has given over $70,000 in scholarships to Starr students, and also that includes our citizenship scholarship. Tonight we're going to present each student and their teacher with a framed certificate that is provided by the Optimist Club for the local competition. And we also will provide to Kaleigh, the Starr student, and her teacher a certificate that the Page Foundation provides to us. We're part of the statewide program. Starr program is in its 56th year and is sponsored by Page, the Georgia Chamber of Commerce, and the Georgia Department of Education. The students we're going to recognize tonight are in the top 10% of their class, and they're based on their SAT score with a single test. They can't combine their math from one test and their English from another test, and now the writing from another test. So I'm not sure if I combined 3 of my tests that I would have gotten in school today, the way as tough as it is. But that's a tribute to them for doing that. And that is important. It's a single test and not multiple tests. So we honor these students tonight. The Starr student and the teacher will be later recognized at a Region Banquet. It's a Region 2 banquet, which will be at Jasper First Baptist Church in Walker Hall. Judge Brenda Weaver is the chairperson for the Region 2 banquet, and that'll be later. And we will sponsor Kaleigh and her family to that banquet on that night. There's some information that we'll give to her then. At this point, though, let's proceed with why we're here tonight, to recognize these young students for their accomplishment and the teacher that they've selected that had the most influence on them. And I think if you add up the number of years of experience of these teachers, I didn't do it, I should have, but it's probably a couple hundred or more. One of our teachers is elementary teacher, so So that tells you what kind of impact she had. I know there's at least 2 middle school teachers here. And so, you don't know when you may have influence on these students. We do need to express our appreciation to the teachers for what they do for our students. This time, though, we'll recognize our Starr student finalists. We'll start with our first Starr student finalist, will be Mr. Will Avant. Will is the son of Bill Avant and Diane Kinzer, and he chose as his Starr teacher Mrs. Kelly McArthur. Our next Starr student finalist is Miss Richlan Hutchins. She is the daughter of Christopher and Christina Joyner, and she chose as her Starr teacher Miss Andrea Yates. Our next Starr student finalist is not able to be here tonight, is Will Lawson. Will is participating in the All-State Orchestra. So him and another one of our Starr students that I'll mention in a few minutes are both not able to be here. We hate that. But Will's Starr teacher is here, and he chose Miss Clara Pantazopoulos as his Starr teacher. My wife would be proud of me not mispronouncing that. But she helped me at the table. Our next Starr student finalist is Mr. J.J. Lee. J.J. is the son of Jimmy and Becky Lee, and he chose as his Starr teacher Mr. Rodney Martin. Our next Starr student finalist is Miss Haley Matthews. Haley is the other student that is at the state orchestra practice tonight. We're sorry that she couldn't be here. She's the daughter of Shane and Tracy Matthews. And if Miss Matthews wouldn't mind coming forward to accept her certificate, that would be great. I attend First Baptist Church in Jasper, and Haley and Will Lawson play many times during the year, and they're really talented musicians. And we're proud of them for what they're doing in Athens tonight practicing. So we understand that conflict. But Haley chose Miss Mary Land as her Starr teacher, but Miss Land had a conflict and is not able to be here tonight. Congratulations to Haley. Our next Starr student finalist is Miss Katie O'Shields. Katie is the daughter of Tommy and Kim O'Shields, and she chose as her Starr teacher Mr. Tony Young. Our next Starr student finalist is Mr. Jacob Stevens. Jacob is the son of Paul and Carrie Stevens, and he chose as his Starr teacher Miss Lynn Cantrell. Our next Starr student finalist is Mr. Jeremy Thornton. is the son of Robert and Barbara Thornton, and he chose as his star teacher Mrs. Gail Culbreth. Tell I was never a star student. I missed one of our students. Right here on this piece of paper. Thank you, Gail. Mr. Silas Lott. Silas, I apologize. Silas is the son of Tony and Jenny Lott, and he chose as his star teacher Mr. Adam Wharton. Actually, Silas, I held you for last so you could do your speech that we talked about. Now to recognize the 2014 star student for Pickens High School, Miss Kaleigh Waters. Kaleigh is the daughter of Chris and Sue Waters, and she chose as her star teacher, Mrs. Susan Anderson.
I'm going to get on my tiptoes.
This time we'll hear responses, first from the star teacher, Ms. Anderson, and then from Kay.
I wrote these down at the request of my daughter. She said it might be good if I wrote it down and I wouldn't kind of go on for a long time. So greetings. It's my pleasure and privilege to be chosen by Kaleigh Waters as star teacher and to be part of this special acknowledgement and celebration of these star students and educators. First, I want to recognize my dinner date, my daughter Adrian Anderson, who is a former Pickens County Starr finalist and summa cum laude graduate from University of Georgia. Tonight I want to address the Optimist Club, parents, teachers, students, and of course, Kaleigh. Thank you, Optimist Club, for your sponsoring of this banquet. I might add the food is delectable. Your generosity and support of these well-deserving students is appreciated. This program makes evident to the community the importance of acknowledging Pickens County's most academically successful students. Parents, congratulations, you did it. Your child is graduating and being honored for their academic accomplishments. I applaud you in your presence in your child's educational endeavors. The anxiety over grade point averages, projects, and sacrifices paid off. With your support and encouragement, your child is where they are today. Parents, stand up and let's give them a round of applause. Students, teachers, how special is this event? We watch these children practically toddle into the kindergarten classroom, and they emerge as these intelligent young adults. You're commended for your positive influence in their lives. All the years of laboring over best practices, how to motivate each student to meet their potential, set realistic goals, and then we supervise their academic development is very challenging but worth every moment as we see these students leave for college and make their mark on our world. Students, you have accomplished something that not many students can claim, and you are being celebrated for your hard work. You could have chosen the easy life during your school career, slept in class, Christmas tree the standardized test, failed to turn in assignments, but you chose to excel, and you have made us all proud. You make our jobs as educators worthwhile, and I thank you along with my fellow teachers for this. Kaleigh Waters. What an amazing accomplishment, and I'm not surprised. You are not only beautiful outside, but also inside, and you're smart. I first met Kaleigh when I was consulted by her teacher. She stated, "What do I do with her? She knows everything I'm teaching." This started our teacher-student relationship, which spanned several years of her elementary tenure. Kaleigh is the ideal student. She exemplifies the model student-focused, hardworking, creative, and if you've had the opportunity to teach Kaleigh, you know her work ethic. Kaleigh had a unique situation at Tay Elementary. It's a small school. And when one of her fellow classmates transferred to another school, she was the only student in the independent study, which meant that she had to spend a lot of time with me. I never heard her complain or seek any special recognition because of her unique situation. She's humble about her academic achievements and successes. When Kaleigh was in 4th grade, she joined the Helen Ruffin Reading Bowl team, and they needed another coach. So guess who joined as coach? On our first regional competition, Kay was the youngest member of the team, and she got sick. The older students panicked. What will we do? We can't compete without her. But Kaleigh arrived, and all was well. Kaleigh and I moved to Harmony Elementary, and we continued the team there. I might add that because of the enthusiasm and motivation that Kaleigh showed for the Reading Bowl team, I have continued to be involved and offer the opportunity to other students. She was also instrumental in developing the Environmental Club, which still positively impacts students in Harmony Elementary School. She was also the charter member of the newscast team and set records for achievement. I'm a better teacher because of Kaleigh, developing challenging curriculum, motivating students to set realistic goals, and the importance of our place on the planet have continued to be important aspects of my program. I know that students who pass through the doors of Harmony Elementary School are impacted by a young 5th grade student who had a passion for the environment and a love for learning. I'm honored to be chosen as Kaleigh's Starr teacher. Thank you.
The Miss Anderson only taught me when I was in elementary school, but I've taken away from my time with her has stuck with me for nearly a decade. She encouraged me to challenge myself before any teacher had, genuinely believed that I could succeed, and placed a personal interest in me, inside her classroom and out. She sparked an enthusiasm within me to stay devoted to learning and to get involved in other activities. Simply because she loved her students, she let us loose with video cameras and garbage cans, and gave us the freedom to do anything from run a school newscast to a recycling club. Even when we weren't in class, we would just come to eat lunch in her room, play games, or with her dribbles, and more than anything, people came just to be around her. I think most of us can agree that volunteering to surround yourself with groups of 10-year-old kids, not only in the classroom, but during and after school, may be a sign that you're a little bit crazy. And I think Miss Anderson may be a little bit crazy, but she is crazy about what she does and who she does it for. The commitment to her students, passion for conservation, and love of teaching is why I chose Miss Anderson. It takes a truly special, dedicated teacher to volunteer for the clubs, projects, kids, animals, and chaos that she endured. She introduced me to a whole new way of thinking, one that I've taken with me throughout my high school career. Even now, I'm sure that I can't comprehend the impact that she's had or appreciate what she did for students like myself. As I've gone throughout middle and high school, I've had some great teachers that have done so much more for me than just teaching. Many of them are also here tonight being recognized. Thank you guys for tolerating me when I get stressed out about an upcoming paper, fixate on a topic that I can't quite get, or asking questions until neither of us can listen to me anymore. I also want to thank my parents for doing the same thing and so much more. A final thank you goes out to the Optimist Club for sponsoring tonight and recognizing the very deserving students and teachers present. Next time this year, I'll be a freshman business major at Georgia Tech. But if it weren't for the people at my table tonight, I probably wouldn't be doing that.
Good evening. I'm Starr. I'm a member of the Jasper Optimist Club. I'm very happy and proud to be a member of the Jasper Optimist Club. I'm very honored tonight to introduce our speaker. I'm one of these people that, as some of you probably know, I'm ever at a loss for words. But I can tell you that throughout this preparation of this introduction, I've been lost for words in preparing this. So much so that I just decided about 30 minutes ago I'm going to have to read this. So I apologize for doing that, but I feel like it's the only way I can get through this. Paul Pitchford Starr, Barbara and I's youngest child and only son, was named after Paul in the Bible by his mother. Pitchford is his mother's maiden name, and I'm just proud he is a Starr, who also was a Starr student finalist. Paul did numerous other things while growing up that he is too modest to tell you. He played basketball at Pickens County Middle School for 2 years, and at Pickens High for 4 years and excelled in it. For many years he played baseball and basketball with the Pickens County Recreation League. As a Christian, he was in the Royal Ambassadors at Cool Springs Baptist Church for 13 years. For spending money, he would cut grass and did jobs for others. He helped me do various jobs around our home. He was outside the house probably more than inside. I would lastly say about his upbringing that Paul was all boy and he has grown up to be all man. Paul studied hard and excelled in his educational endeavors from kindergarten through high school. He toughed it out as a co-op student at Georgia Tech while achieving his mechanical engineering degree with good grades. Paul is top of the line as a husband to his sweet and good wife, Heather, and as a father to their 2 children, Kaleigh and James. He has always honored his father and mother and is a total family man. Paul has always been good and never has given us a single problem in life. I am blessed to have 3 equally loved children. However, I would tell you that Paul is my favorite son. For Barbara and I, it is indeed a deep, deep personal honor and privilege and blessing that I introduce to you my son, Paul Pitchford Starr.
Saying just how deeply honored I am to be speaking with you tonight. I think it's a phenomenal thing that the Optimist Club has promoted this program for so many years in their efforts to grow the youth of Pickens County. It's fantastic that it happens. I'm very grateful to be speaking with you. For the Starr students, congratulations. This is a nice milestone that you've reached. It's not one that many kids get to. And I hope for you that it's the first of many recognitions that you'll get as you go through your professional careers. For you Starr teachers, congratulations. I know you're extremely proud of the fact that of all the students that have been through your doors, that these students have picked you as the one who has inspired them the most. You've gone above and beyond the reading, writing, and arithmetic that's functionally required. And that's something that sticks with the kids, that they remember that long into their adult years. I can remember back in 8th grade, there was a teacher coming over from the high school to teach us middle schoolers some math. And at the end of the year, she was very concerned about all her little 8th graders that were going off into this big bad high school. And she wanted to make sure that we all knew that, she'd help us any way she could. Whatever problems we had, we'd come to her. And at the end of the year, she made us all sit there with our hands up and say her room number, 305, 305, over and over again. And that was Miss Gail Culbreth. So I'm proud to see that she's still influencing kids today the same way that she was 23 years ago. So congratulations again to all the Starr students and to all the Starr teachers. Before we get started on topic, let me give you a little personal introduction about myself. As my dad mentioned, grew up in Pickens County. I consider myself a native of Pickens County. My parents moved here when I was 9 months old. I had a great family life growing up, 2 great parents, 2 great sisters, and really enjoyed the time here. I can remember, running the Marble Festival race every year. I can remember sitting out in that parking lot by the tennis courts that used to be there, and sitting on my dad's tailgate eating watermelon while we watched the fireworks when they shot them off down the hill. Going through high school, I played a lot of sports. I did well academically, and when I got to college at Georgia Tech, best of luck to you, Kaleigh. I got a real eye opener. When I got my first report card, I saw C's across the board, and I like to fall out. It wasn't something that I was used to. It wasn't something that was acceptable to me, and I knew that something had to change. I really had to change my study habits. I had to change the way I prepared for tests, and ultimately I got out of there with a GPA that I could be proud of. And, had a good time while I was in school. It is a fun place to go despite all the torture they will put you through. So when I graduated in 2001, I started working with an industrial construction company. I started out in the home office as a mechanical estimator, spent about a year there. And I quickly saw that the leaders of our company and the people who I saw as most successful, that they all had field experience. And I knew I needed to be flexible enough to get that. So I clawed and scratched my way, and I got a field assignment. So I spent the next 5 years dragging my poor wife around the countryside, working in a lot of paper mills, working a lot of long hours, coming home smelling a good smell every night who's been past the paper mill. But had a good time doing it, got a lot of experience. And in 2008, I got the opportunity to come back to the office and be a project manager in our Woodstock office. And about a year after that, they promoted me to be the divisional manager. So since then, we've been growing the business. We get to focus on a lot of good things. We got some hefty targets. It keeps me challenged. It keeps my team challenged. But it puts us in a lot of interesting places, doing a lot of interesting things, and for that I'm very grateful. So when I got the call back in November about speaking with you tonight, it didn't take long to determine what I wanted to address. I had an initial setback when I did some math and determined that most of the year you Starr students were born was the year I was sitting in your very chair. So after realizing where some of these gray hairs have come from, I knew that what I needed to talk to you about was success and what it is, what it means, and any advice I could give you as you go and start your careers and what can propel you into a successful life. So I believe there's 5 key aspects of success that we need to talk about, but before we jump into that, we need to define success. And if you pull out your trusty Webster's, you'll see 2 real definitions of success. The first one is attaining wealth, respect, or fame. And that's, to me, that's society's definition of success. That's, look at the car he drives, look at the house she lives in, they must be successful. And while it's not a terrible way to define it, it's really not measurable. It's not specific. You don't wake up one day and realize that you've crossed the threshold and all of a sudden you're successful. And that's where definition 2 comes into play, and that is the correct or desired result of an attempt. So what that means is that you as the individual, you get to define what that attempt is, and then when you reach it, you're successful. It's very measurable. So with that, how do we get there? There's 5 key aspects. The first one is attitude. Attitude is going to be first and foremost for you reaching success in your life and reaching that attempt that you set. I think if you look at people that are in your lives and you look at the people who you see as successful and those you see as not successful, look at their attitudes, look how they're driven. And I think you'll find some real contrasting differences between those two and their attitudes. You know, there's a lot of books out there about the attitudes of successful people and the habits of successful people. And while I recommend that you read them, I want to make sure you don't lose the message. Because if you look at the habits of successful people, it will compare, you know, how early in the morning does this successful person get up relative to others? How much TV do they watch? And so what it insinuates is that if you mimic those habits, that you will become successful. And that's not the case. Successful people don't get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, you know, 3 hours before they're going to work so that they can lounge around and watch cartoons. You know, they're getting up and looking at ways that they can be more successful. Maybe they're reading a book. Maybe they're trying to learn a new skill. Maybe they're looking on the internet for investment properties, checking their stocks. They're doing something that makes them more successful. That's very important. You know, that shows that they're driven. They're driven towards success. You know, it's been mentioned tonight. There's a program there. Look on the back of it. Look at the Optimist Creed. It's all about attitude. It's about having a positive spin on anything that comes your way. Because in my business and in my position, I get to interview and hire a lot of people. And I hire a lot of people, and I also turn down a lot of people. And the number one thing that swings that pendulum is attitude. You know, you can have a great looking resume, you can have a phenomenal pedigree. But if you come in there and you have a bad attitude, you're not getting the job. Because when I look at a resume, I'm going to look at it long enough to pull out the pick points. I want to be able to talk to that person, and I want to find out if they're driven. Are they goal-oriented? Are they team players? Are they loyal? How's their temperament? How would they react in the face of adversity? Because that's what I want to hire. I want to hire the person that's got that attitude and still has that technical ability. So attitude is one of those things, you know, we can all change our attitudes. A lot of it is the way you were born. But, you know, the fact is, if you focus on that attitude and you always keep yourself driven and motivated, I know you can get there. Key number 2 is setting goals. We all set goals in our lives. I think everybody does it. But oftentimes we set goals that are too big and they're too vague. You know, for example, you make a goal for yourself that says, well, I want to be a better person. Well, that's a great thing to strive for. It's very commendable. But, you know, if you look at it, you can't really tell whether or not you're winning or losing the game. It's not specific enough. So if you twist that a little bit, you can say, well, I want to be a better person, and the way I'm going to do that is I want to donate time to charity. I want to identify a charity for the next 3 months. I want to donate 10 hours a month to them, and I want to do that for the balance of the year. Well, you've just made that goal very specific, and it's very achievable because you can measure it. You know, at work, we use an acronym for goals that say all goals need to be SMART. They need to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and they need to have a time function to them. So when you take a goal that's, you know, like being a better person, it doesn't meet any one of those criteria. It's a great thing to do, but guess what? You can't tell whether or not you're winning or losing. So with that, if you're going to set SMART goals, you need to set different kinds of goals. You need to set short-term goals, and you need to set long-term goals. I think everybody ought to have a 1, 5, and 10-year plan. They should be progressive, so that you're always looking forward. and make sure you track yourself against them. You know, when a lot of people set goals, they never write them down, they never come back and measure themselves against them. And you can do that any way you want to. Some people write it on a poster board and stick it on their wall so that when they walk by their door, going out in the mornings, they get to see them. You know, probably most people here have a smartphone. Put a reminder in there that every 3 months you're going to go back and look at your goals and you're going to evaluate yourself against them. And keep in mind that it's okay if your goals change, because life changes. Your situations, whether it's a business reason, a personal reason, they will change, and it's okay to change your goals. The important part is that you set your goals and you track yourself against them. So if you've got the right attitude and you've set your goals, the next obvious step is you got to execute them. And that's unfortunately where most of us fail, is in the failure to execute. You know, whether the goals were too big or too vague. Like I said, maybe somebody goes to a New Year's Eve party and, you know, at the last minute they've got to make some resolutions, so they set some goals. Well, you know, so first of the year comes, they start spending money. You know, they're buying self-help books, they're joining gym memberships. You know, they're doing all this stuff to help them reach that goal. And then you give it a month after that and it all fizzles out. Now, why is that? Well, maybe it wasn't a core value that the person had. Maybe it wasn't one of their real true beliefs. Maybe the goal wasn't a SMART goal like we talked about. But you have to execute. Now, one way I suggest that people do that is to be a sponge of information. As you go through life, you're going to get a lot of data. You're going to get data from good things, you're going to get data from bad things, from good experiences, from bad experiences. Lots of data is going to come in. Now your job is to absorb that and filter through it. So you get this data, you've got it filtered. Now what you have to do is go back and apply that to the goals that you set and apply that to the plan that you have. Because it's a great way to learn. I think it's one of the things that helped me tremendously in my career with an early goal that I wanted to be a project manager. I got to work as a young field engineer. I got to work side by side with this project manager. So I got to see all the decisions they had to make with none of the consequences. You know, I wasn't the one that had to make that decision, but I got to see what they were faced with. I got to see the decision they made and see the fallout from it. Or hopefully not the fallout, hopefully the right decision, but you got to see the end result of the decision. So make sure you're a sponge and latch on to somebody that can help you. There's a lot of folks out there that can help you, whether it's an upperclassman that's been in your shoes before, maybe it's a fellow coworker, somebody that's doing what you did, you know, a couple years ago. Maybe it's a mentor. But there's people out there that you need to find and latch on to them and learn everything you can from them. And absorb the good things, filter out the bad, and that's really going to help you when you set your goals. Moving on to key number 4 is not being afraid to fail. It sounds kind of silly, but the fear of failure is what holds many of us back. You know, we don't want to go do something because we think we won't be good at it. And it's a tough personal trait to move across. But I can guarantee you, if you let that fear hold you back and you never take any risks, you're not going to be successful. Because if you go back and you ask anybody in your life that you look at as successful, and you ask them if they failed, if they tell you the truth, they're going to say yes. I failed. There's things that I wish I would have done differently in my life. But you know what? It didn't stop me from trying. I didn't let that fear of failure hold me back. And I don't want you to do that either. Because you're not defined by whether or not you fail. You're defined by how you recover from it and whether or not you win the game at the end of the day. If we go back and we look at our history books, you know, let's take a couple examples. Think of Thomas Edison. People don't think of him as a failure. You know, he failed thousands of times trying to find the right little filament to go in that light bulb. But guess what? At the end of the day, he found it. He succeeded. He made that first commercially practical light bulb. And that's what people remember him for. You know, let's think of George Washington. What do people remember him as? Well, he was the first president. He was the father and the great general of the American Revolution. Well, if you go back and you look at your history books, you'll see that as a military strategist, he was a failure. He lost most of the major battles that he fought. But that's not what people remember him for. People remember him for succeeding, being the leader that he was, and pulling together a country in the face of adversity. So don't let that fear of failure hold you back. Now, it does not mean that you go and jump into any situation that's there because you're not afraid to fail. You know, that's not it. You have to be willing to take risks, but you need to take controlled risks. You know, you don't just jump off a ship because you're not afraid of hitting the water. You know, you need to have backup plans. You need to think about what happens if you do fail at this attempt. How do you recover? How do you stay on track to the goals that you set? So, bottom line, you can't be afraid to fail, and you have to be willing to put yourself out there right on the edge of your comfort zone. And that's going to be a huge part of helping you succeed. Key number 5 is being happy. Happiness is an incredibly large part of success. I think if you go back and you think about those people in your lives that you see as successful, most of the time they're going to be happy. Because happy people have good attitudes. We already talked about what attitude means in the way of success. So when you're looking at your future life, at the college you go to, at the career that you choose, make sure it's one that you can be happy with. Now you have to balance it, because you can't say, well, you know, I'm happiest if I'm a 30-year-old sitting in my parents' basement playing video games. You know, that's not it. You're going to school with a goal of you want to get out, get a good job, make a bunch of money, support yourself, support your family. So you have to blend that with happiness, because you cannot sacrifice your happiness for success, and you cannot sacrifice success for your happiness. So there's plenty of ways to go about it, but make sure as you're going through these steps and you're setting your goals, make sure absolutely for certain that it's something that you can be happy with. Because if you don't, you're going to hate getting up, going to school, you're going to hate getting up, going to work, and you're not going to be successful with it. So make sure you can be happy. In conclusion, we've talked about 5 key aspects. Number 1 is attitude. Make sure, first and foremost, that you've got the right attitude, that you stay driven in all situations. Number 2, set goals for yourself. Set smart goals, set short-term goals, long-term goals. Number 3, execute. Don't be that broken New Year's resolution. Make sure that you're a sponge in all situations and you soak up everything you can to help you down the path of success. Number 4, don't be afraid to fail. Always be willing to step out of your comfort zone and go above and beyond in your attempt for success. Number 5, be happy. Be happy in everything you do, whether it's your personal life or your business. We talked about definitions. My definition of success is being happy and having the means to pursue your dreams. And I'm able to live that now with my lovely wife and my 2 kids. And I hope the same for everyone here, especially the Starr students. You've got a good head on your shoulders. You're academically there. Your job is to get your attitude right, set your goals, and execute them. And I know if you do that you will be successful, because I truly believe in it. I want to thank the Optimist Club for letting me come here tonight. Thank you for the attention, and God bless.
Paul, I want to thank you for taking the time to speak to us tonight. Come here and thread us, and we have something to commemorate your visit with us this evening. And I hope it's something that you will enjoy for a long time.
I like that.
Thank you. But I think that we count this to the Starr students tonight. Thank you. Well, I think Paul has challenged everyone in this room and to set goals for ourselves so that we achieve more in our lives. And that we've set goals for ourselves so that we know when we achieve those benchmarks, that we know that we are reaching those goals, and that we recognize when we achieve those goals. And he gave us a lot of very concrete, specific steps that we can use to build our success on as we go through life. And I appreciate you for that. Thanks again. Some of the most important promises that we make in our lives are promises that we make to ourselves. I ask each of you, if you would, to stand and join me in the Optimist Creed. You'll find a copy printed on the back of your book. Say it loud and clear. Promise yourself to be so strong that nothing can disturb your peace of mind. To talk health, happiness, and prosperity to every person you meet. To make all your friends feel that there's something in them. To look at the sunny side of everything and make your optimism come true. To think only of the best, to work only for the best, and expect only the best. To be just as enthusiastic about the success of others as you are about your own. To forget the mistakes of the past and press on to the greater achievements of the future. To wear a cheerful countenance at all times and give everything that you meet a smile. To give so much time to the improvement of yourself and you have no time to criticize others. To be too large for worry, too noble for anger, too strong for fear, and too happy to forget presence of trouble. This meeting of the Jasper Optimist This meeting of the Jasper Optimist Club, and I appreciate you being guests at this meeting, will be adjourned in just a moment. I want to ask all the Starr students and teachers to come to the front for just a moment at the conclusion of the program. Thank you for being here, and good evening.